What's up, guys? Welcome back to Veteran Aquatics. My name is Dylan, and today we are going to do a fish room tour of my father-in-law's fish room. It's Christmas, so Merry Christmas, everybody. We're up at my in-laws' house. My father-in-law also keeps fish, as you can see. So let's go ahead. We'll go through his tanks, show you everything that he's got. He does things a little bit differently. It's actually pretty interesting because he's very successful with it. So let's go ahead and get started. So you'll notice all this airline tubing run through. So he's got a central air pump that he's running. Some interesting things. So he's got this 55-gallon on these milk crates that are holding up. He's just got a bunch of minnows in here. He likes to breed random things. He'll find all sorts of stuff and try to breed it. I'll show you some of the weird things he's got later. But there's some minnows in there. So he also collects a lot of his own driftwood. He's got daffodil cichlids in here, Neolamprologus. I can't remember the other name. I don't know where they are, though. He did successfully breed them, but looks like they ate their fry. Maybe we'll go on this side. But there are some in there. You'll notice in his tanks there's a bunch of plants. We have some guppies in here, some swordtails. Looks like a couple of Bolivian rams. Lots of snails. You see the cuttlebone there for the snails, so they have their calcium. And again, tons and tons of plants. Even up here you'll see all the frog bit. So Jim is a very naturalistic type of keeper, as you can see. Just a ton of plants. There's one triple red Cockatoides pisto in here. Unfortunately, he lost the mate. There's some more guppies and an enormous snail. And again, more plants, more frog bit. And you'll kind of see that as the running theme. Wood, rocks, plants. Wood, rocks, plants. There's a bunch of very nice bright orange swordtails back there that he's bred. You'll see them in a couple of tanks. Down here we have Crebensis. These are cribs that he's bred as well. And again, you'll see more of those later. Digital thermometers. He's got some water lettuce in this one. There's more cribs. You can see them right there. Those are albino cribs. But again, you'll see these tanks, they're not like pristinely clean. And he and I were talking, and I've spoken to some other people about it, and there's this trend of keeping these obnoxiously clean tanks. And that's not how fish live. I mean, maybe in pet stores and some of the aquarium bred fish, but in the wild, in fish's natural habitat, they'll live in stuff like this, where it's kind of dirty, there's a bunch of stuff on the bottom. But the benefit to that is, when you breed fish, and you have fry, it gives them something to pick at. I've seen quite a few people that lose fish, or lose fry, because they miss a feeding or two. Well, if you have all this stuff on the bottom of the tank, you don't have to worry about it. Guys, these angelfish are huge. Like, there's my hand. These are some monster angelfish. I remember when these guys were tiny, but Jim feeds a lot. That's something else. There's some Buenos Aires tetras, a huge red-tailed shark. So that's something else that Jim does. He overfeeds a lot. And you notice all of his fish, they're fat, they're healthy, they're big. We've got some Bumblebee Cichlids in here, as well as a couple of guppies. These are Mabuna. And again, lots of babies. Lots of babies. Mabuna, rock-dwelling African cichlid. I personally don't keep Mabuna. Never just been a huge fan. They never really did it for me. I like peacocks better. But yeah, I mean, super successful breeding them, as you can see by all the juveniles floating around. There's some that are even smaller. And they come in and out of the rockwork. They're a fun fish. They're a good beginner fish as well. Then we'll come over here is where he's got all of his miscellaneous fish supplies. You see all the plants coming out of the top of this one. All that root work is really great for the fry to hide in. More guppies, more snails, more plants. So yeah, and then there's all this. He's actually a fair bit more organized than I am. So he likes to collect used tanks. As you can see by some of these metal frame tanks, you don't see too many of them. Just look at the Java moss going crazy in here. It's all super green, more guppies. more snails, more plants. And then up here, this is there's just snails in this tank, but again, a ton of Java moss. So this is one of those interesting things that Jim keeps. I don't know if I'll be able to find them, but there are leeches in here. So again, Jim keeps some interesting things. He does in fact have leeches in there. I saw him in there yesterday. Here's another little tank. It looks like it's got a puffer in it, a little pea puffer. A little very angry pea puffer. That's why he's in here. But again, more plants. He's got some bamboo coming out of it. What do we have up here? More swordtails. Again, these are ones that Jim bred. I brought some of them home in the past. I really like the bright orange ones. More crebensis. So there's a albino and a regular in all their fry. You can see some albino fry in there mixed in with the normal ones. These guys apparently eat all their plants, and that's the only reason there's no plants in here. Got golden wonder killifish and more swordtails. Again, more plants. Down here, this was Jim's Christmas present from me. This is a pair of Apistogramma hongsloi. Jim is very good at breeding fish, and I really believe it has to do with the kind of environment that he keeps his fish in. So he likes this naturalistic, lots of plants, lots of cover, lots of food, and he's been very successful with it. And again, a lot of the way people keep fish now is very clean and almost a sterile environment. There's a huge golden wonder, some guppies, a lamb chop rasbora. There's a black neon back there. He's got a couple of albino bristlenose in here, and a ton of plants. But I mean, just seeing all the fry that Jim has, it kind of lets you know that, hey, maybe it's not the way to breed fish. And you can do the Dean way of breeding fish in a sterile glass box with nothing but, 2 pots and a piece of driftwood, and that's fine, and that works for some fish. But I like this style of fish keeping. It's more akin to the natural way of fish's lives. And if you're dealing with wild caught fish, you may find this works much better trying to breed them than does a sterile glass box. There's a Apistogramma cockatoides orange flash. Lots of plants, lots of rocks, lots of air. And in this one, this is another one of those metal frame tanks. He's got some guppies, a couple of nice guppies. Neons, there's a loach in there somewhere. There he is. And a ton of plants. So plants is, at least in my opinion, one of the biggest things, and this tank is insane. This tank he's actually got CO2 hooked up to. So these are guppies with some wooden rocks and a butt ton of plant cover. This cover, it provides cover for the fry. It gives them stuff to pick at. There's a nice little, I think it's a darter. Lots of stuff to pick at. Like I said, he overfeeds, so there's always food in the tank. That food either gets eaten up by the snails or picked up by the fish over time. Because fish pick, they don't just eat when you feed them. So they'll eat all day. Over here we have a pair of paradise fish. These were a recent pickup for him. There's the male and the female. They're very pretty. These aren't super commonly kept anymore. Even though they're very pretty fish. They build bubble nests, kind of like betas do. And they were kind of the beta before betas. So an interesting fish, again, that you don't see in the hobby too often, and a ton of plants. And then we come over here. We have some little Bumblebee Gobies. I'm not sure what that is, maybe a night goby. Some candy cane tetras. And more plants. He actually grows these from bulbs, and you can see one of the bulbs sprouting right there. And just a ton of Java moss. And more duckweed. Then we'll come over here. This is the last tank downstairs. This is full of, oh boy, what are these called again? I know the name because I have some sparkling grommies. There we go. And Jim bred these. There's a bunch of them in here. There's also a bunch of cories somewhere. He's got pygmy cories in here, and I think he's got some Julie cories in here. Snails. Again, lots and lots of plants. You can see how green everything is. Sponge filters. He's got the central air system. And he's been pretty successful breeding some different species of fish than I see bred often. And these are really cool. I've got a pair of these at home. They're just in a community tank, but you can see that neon blue eye that they have, and that's where they get the name blue-eyed gobies from that. But I hope you guys enjoyed seeing that. It's something a little bit different, you know, than the rooms I'm used to, and probably the rooms you're used to as well. But it works. I mean, he's got that 125 full of angelfish. He's got some big tanks in here. He's got some small tanks. He's got all sorts of different things. Jim is very crafty when it comes to acquiring material for his fish room. And it's come a long way. I mean, I did a video tour of it, I don't know, maybe 8 months ago. And even since then, I mean, he's got the central air system hooked up. He's got a bunch of racks up now. So it's looking really good. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Really cool fish room. Shout out to Jim for letting me film it. Thank you guys so much. Merry Christmas again. Have a safe and happy holiday.